so much for joining us tonight. We're excited to have Karen Morris, author of A Year Without a Grocery Store and Mom on the Run, here tonight to share her knowledge and experience with us. But first, I just want to say, if you've attended these national virtual gatherings in the past, you've noticed that Katrina is not here tonight, our regular hostess of this event. She actually had something that's going to take her away from our national virtual gatherings just for a couple of months. So she will be back. You'll only have to have me hosting these for you for a short period of time. And I look forward to her returning. If you haven't met me before, my name is Miranda, and I am part of the National Ladies Homestead Gathering Executive Team. And normally I'm behind the scenes, making sure that we have sound and making sure that we invite speakers and all that good stuff. So not unfamiliar with our national virtual gatherings, just not usually the one that's in front of the camera for it. So we look forward to her quick return. I just wanted to say real quick, for those of you who are new or maybe have never visited our website, National Ladies Homestead Gathering is a national nonprofit. We are a 501c3, and our focus is empowering women through homesteading. And that means that we share our knowledge, build community, and grow friendships around this common interest that we all have about being more self-sufficient and living a more self-reliant lifestyle. So if you haven't checked out our website, head over to nlhg.org. And don't forget that you can become a very invested partner, a VIP member, on the website as well. And those funds actually go to making sure that we can continue to serve the women within our community, not just in local chapters, which we do have across the country, but right here virtually as well, with things like this national virtual gathering that we're having tonight. So I'm going to say, let's just get this show on the road. I'm going to quickly introduce our speaker tonight. And don't forget, ladies, we love the questions. Ask all the questions, put them in the chat, and I will collect those questions. And then at the end of the presentation, we will have Karen answer those questions one by one, so we don't interrupt her flow. I know as a presenter, sometimes when those questions are coming out of everywhere, or we're asking her to monitor the chat too, it can get a little confusing. So questions in the chat, don't forget, we want questions. So put them there so we can get them answered tonight. All right, so it is my pleasure to introduce Karen Morris tonight. Karen is a homeschooling mom, best-selling author, and a longtime prepper who knows what it means to be ready when life throws the unexpected your way. From tornadoes to civil unrest, she's learned how to prepare with purpose. Pardon, ladies, with purpose, and she's here to help us tonight learn to do the same. So without further ado, Karen, welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here with everybody tonight. I am, excuse me, I'm hoping that by the time that we are done, that you all will feel empowered to be able to take care of yourselves when you are away from home. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And there we go. All right. Awesome. So tonight we are talking about Mom on the Run, prepping for life's emergencies when you are away from home. I am Karen Morris. A little bit about me is I have been a prepper for probably going on 20 years. And I've done all different kinds of prepping, from some homesteading. We had a mini farm at one point, to living in the city, to now we're outside of a really small town in southern Alabama, on about 2.5 acres. So we've got some space here. I am a wife to Steve. I am a mom of 5 kids. My kids are getting a little bit older. I have next week I have 2 that turn 23, and then I have a 19-year-old, an 18-year-old, and a 13-year-old as well. So I have kids in different age groups. Currently, besides writing, which I absolutely adore doing, I also teach at a Christian school. So I've had to fit that in with everything else. And that's something that is new to me. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that in a minute. But fun thing about me is I'm a Trekkie. I absolutely love Star Trek. I love organization. I love decorating. So my life doesn't just revolve around preparedness, but that is definitely a big part of it. In tonight's presentation, we are going to talk about 3 different things if we have time to get to them. First thing we're going to talk about is EDC, and that stands for Everyday Carry. What do you need to have on your person or near your person at any given point in the day? And we're going to walk you through how you can develop your own EDC. We're going to talk about being prepared in your car for in-town emergencies. So like you're out and about in town, it's getting late, you're really hungry. What are the things that you can do to take care of that problem before it becomes a problem? Or you're out and one of your kids falls and scrapes their knee. Do you have the things that you need to take care of that problem? Then if we have time, we're going to talk about out-of-town emergencies. So you're in a vehicle and something happens on a long trip. So we're going to talk about that if we have time, and then we will finish, and I promise you, we will get to this. I'm going to give away free PDF copies of Mom on the Run tonight, but you got to stick with me all the way to the end to get there. All right, so let's start by talking about everyday carry. Everyday carry, or EDC, this is a quote from Tim Hayes, and I found this on Reddit. It says, EDC has been crucial to me. To be prepared is to be in control. It's not like I expect zombies to pop out of the ground or terrorists to attack. It's all the things that we run into in our daily lives that make us feel powerless when they happen. I take back control and power by having the tools I need when I need them. And that is a lot of what's going on, is for us to have the tools we need when we need them. So if I'm at home and an emergency comes up, I'm not worried. I have systems in place to take care of almost everything. But here's the problem. I'm not at home all the time. I was a stay-at-home mom for 22 years. During those years, one time I asked my husband where I spent the majority of my time, and he correctly answered, in the car. And that, honestly, he was right. But this last year, I did something I haven't planned to do. I went back to work. And I currently teach high school English at a local Christian school. Now, all of my kids but one have graduated. And that one that hasn't yet, well, he had me for 2 of the 4 periods every day. 2 to 4 periods every day. And so he had me at school too. So that was really cool. At that time, I was working 45 minutes from where I lived. So to say that I was away from home the majority of the time is an understatement. But herein lies that problem. If my preparedness supplies are at home, how do I handle the emergencies if I'm at work or I'm driving to or from work? Now, I need to put into place similar systems for my person and my car that I have in my home, so that if I'm teaching school and there's an emergency, I'm ready. I need to have a way to take care of that minor but inevitable emergency during my 45-minute commute home. That's where Mom on the Run comes in. Mom on the Run gives you a 3-pronged approach to being prepared for life's emergencies when you're away from home. And that first part is this everyday carry. So if you are a mom, and even if you're not, you've probably already been there and done that and likely bought the t-shirt. But when you bring that little bundle of joy home from the hospital and you have everything you need at your fingertips, you've got diapers, you've got pacifiers, bottles, blankets, wipes, clean clothes, all of it. But when you decide to take that first foray into the wild by yourself, you learn very quickly how much more you need to take with you for that precious baby. And that's a lot. So if you're a mom, and you're determined to be ready for whatever life and your baby throw your way, you've got a diaper bag. Well, if you're a plumber and you came to my house, you'd have a toolbox. Well, we, just like those young moms or those female plumbers, need to have the tools of our job with us or near us. So why develop an everyday carry? First of all, that we talked about with Tim Hayes, go back a second, that it gives us back control. which is a big deal. Creating that EDC does have a bunch of benefits besides just taking back control. It also saves you time, it saves you money, it saves you a whole lot of frustration, as well as it gives you the ability to help others in need. So how do you develop an EDC? I have 9 questions that I'm going to give you tonight to help you develop your own EDC. And that first question is, what do you use all the time? Okay, when I was a stay-at-home mom, that was usually I carried my earbuds with me. I had a pocket knife with me. I had my, in my backpack, I had different little bags of first aid, or I had bags of personal hygiene items like having a comb and having hair bands and having nail clippers and having lotion and lip balm and all of that. I had another bag with some survival supplies. I had another bag with food snacks and things like that. So, but what do you use all the time? So when I was a stay-at-home mom, I had one set of tools, but now that I'm a teacher, I have a totally different set of tools. I carry a specific pen with me that I use all the time. I have my grade book, I have my lesson plan book, and these 3 things go with me pretty much everywhere. They stay in my purse or on my person almost all day long. So, but as a wife and a mom, I also use my keys, I use my wallet, I use wet wipes, but I don't use I used to use baby wipes, but those things, those packages are really big and unwieldy. Wet wipes packages are so much smaller and they're easier to use. Matter of fact, it's interesting. I have, I think you guys can see me in a little on the side, but I keep one even in my desk right here with me because I use them all the time. They're great for getting out stains. I don't know if you know that because it's fabulous for getting out stains. They also, if I have to use a public bathroom and they don't have soap, wet wipes will disinfect my hands after it. I use my phone all the time, and I also use earbuds all the time. So all of those are things that I use all the time. So that's something when you go through and you take out a piece of paper and you list these questions out, what do you use all the time? I'm sure there are things that you would use that I'm not going to use, and things that I use that you would be like, Karen, I don't need those things at all. So you need to answer this for you. As we go through this, I don't want you copying my list. I want you to create your own list because there are going to be things that you need that I would never think of because that's not my life situation. Okay. Next question. What do you use several times a day? So do you use sunglasses? Like my mom, when she rides in our car, every time she gets in, she pulls out the sunglasses that she has stashed in our car because she needs the sunglasses when she is out and about. I have a nail kit that I use at least once or twice a day. I have lavender essential oil because I use that regularly. Often, way too often recently, I've needed my phone's extra battery pack and the charging cord and all of that. So what are the things that you use several times a day? Take a moment and see if you can think of, a couple of things that you use on a regular basis several times a day. Okay, so moving on, question number 3. What do you run into regularly that you need to handle better? So, for example, I had a daughter who had regular migraines. We needed to carry, we were using a homeopathic medicine or homeopathy for her. And that's what our doctor had suggested. It was arnica montana, and it worked really, really well for her. So I had to learn that I needed to carry that with me. That way, if she got a migraine, I had that with me on my person and we were ready to take care of that. Do you have a child with allergies? I have one of my children, he loves cats. And he doesn't just love cats. He loves to stick his face in the cats. He loves to pet the cats. He loves to hold the cats. I mean, he's 13, taller than me, and he loves his cats. But I will tell you, because he loves his cats and because he is mildly allergic to these cats, he needs Kleenexes a lot. So I have to make sure that I have enough Kleenexes to take care of his needs when we are out and about if he has forgotten to take his medicine that he takes for that. If I'm out and about and I want to get an unsweetened iced tea, then I always ask for lemon, but sometimes they don't have it. So one of the things that I carry in my purse is there are these crystallized lemon packets. And I carry those with me because one, I can't drink water without lemon in it. The something about, unless it's really cold, but something about that taste, and especially depending on where you're getting your tap water from, it can taste really off. So the lemon really helps me be able to drink the water. So I carry that with me. So whether it's unsweetened iced tea or whether it's water with lemon, I always have that with me because I need to be able to make sure that I'm staying hydrated. If I had a child who regularly suffered from upset stomachs, actually, not if I have had a child who regularly suffered from upset stomachs when we get in the car. So I carried peppermints with me because peppermints will calm a stomach. And that just became part of what I knew I needed to have because I needed to be able to take care of that situation when it came up, literally. Okay, question number 4. If you couldn't leave a location, what would you want to have with you? And you might think, well, Karen, why might I not be able to leave a location? Well, there's a couple of different situations. One, maybe you're stuck at the grocery store and you've put off getting groceries and you're in a long line and you're stuck there with a toddler, or even if you're stuck there by yourself, what do you need? What would you want to have with you if you got stuck there for a while? Another situation would be if a building went on lockdown, whether that's where you worked or whether that was another building. For us, a while ago, when we first moved to Illinois, our second week at chess club, we were in there, the coach had just given his lesson, and the kids had started playing their games. So I'm sitting in the back with my 3-year-old, and the other moms are in the back, and the kids are playing at the different tables, and a young man runs in, holding up 2 knives, screaming, "I'm going to kill everybody." Well, I couldn't leave the room at that moment. I couldn't go, "Oh, excuse me, sir, just a minute. I'm going to run out to my car and get a pepper spray and I will be right back in." You can't do that. If you can't leave a place for whatever reason, what do you want to have with you? Whether it is having some toys for a toddler to play with, whether that is having an audiobook that you can pop in your ear while you're waiting on a long line somewhere, whether that is being stuck in traffic. What would you like to have with you in those situations? For example, so if you have a nosebleed, you're in there, you have a nosebleed and you can't get out for whatever reason, do you have what you need to take care of that? That's just another type of situation that could happen. So next question number 5. What are your limitations that you need to work around? And what do you need to adapt to those limitations? So for example, one of my children has asthma and she carries an inhaler with her everywhere she goes. Well, before she was old enough to carry that inhaler on her person, I had it with me everywhere I went because I needed it ready for her. So, but what about you? Do you have asthma? Do you have someone that you care for that has asthma? What do you need for that specifically? Do you have a child who regularly struggles with joint pain, or even like a particular joint that they tend to sprain an awful lot? Do you need to keep an ACE rack with you because that happens regularly? Are you deathly allergic to bee stings or shellfish or peanut butter? Do you have an EpiPen? So things like that. What are your limitations, or what are the limitations for the people that you're caring for? And what do you need to have to address those limitations? All right, next question. Question number 6. Who am I caring for and what are their needs? So not just limitations, but do you care for a grandchild regularly or a child regularly, or do you babysit? Do you do something like that? When I was a stay-at-home mom, I would take my mom out regularly, and I needed to say, okay, so what do I need to be able to take care of her if something would happen? There was a time when her stomach got very, very upset very regularly, and she would violently throw up. And there sometimes wouldn't be much notice. So I needed to be ready to take care of that if that happened. Do you have, also when we would go on trips, I would make sure that we had a wheelchair because she had mobility, but it was limited. So if we're going to do a lot of walking, I wanted to make sure I had that. I wanted to make sure that I had her walker because, again, while she normally walks with a cane, but when we We used to travel down to the area that I live in now every summer, and this is where we vacationed. And we would go to an outlet mall here, and she wanted to have her walker with her because she could sit in it if she needed to, but she could still walk. And so that gave her another option. But I needed to make sure that we had those things with us so that I could take care of her if she needed those things. Do you have a neighbor that you look in on from time to time? You know, what do they need, or what do you need to think about when you go over to their house? You know, do they suffer from low blood sugar? Do you maybe need to carry honey packets? Anything like that? Who do you care for, and what are their needs that you may need to think about? Okay, that's question number 6. Question number 7, what first aid items do you need? Now, I keep a comprehensive first aid kit in my car, but I always have Band-Aids in my purse. For the longest time, I carried one of those little makeup cases with a whole bunch of different first aid items in it. But I've discovered that when I have 5 of those little things, 5 of those makeup cases in my purse for my different categories, it made it a lot harder. Now, I just carry Band-Aids in my wallet. So I make sure I have various sizes of Band-Aids, and it's in the change purse part of my wallet. So I always have those with me. In my vehicle, I do have a full first aid kit. I can take care of anything that would need to be taken care of in my vehicle for certain. So think about that. What first aid items do you need? Do you have someone that suffers from nosebleeds often, or do you have someone who they get cut easily? I know as people age that their skin becomes a lot thinner. My mom, a box brushed across her hand in the last couple of weeks, and she ended up with quite a cut on her hand from that box. So what kinds of items do you need? What things do you run across? And then, like, for example, headaches. I carry in my purse, one of the things I do carry is I carry a pill minder. And in that pill minder, and if you don't know what that is, they're long, skinny boxes that have 7 different sections. And so it's meant to put your supplements or your medicines from each day of the week in a section so that you can make sure that you're taking all of your pills instead of having to pull them out each day if you have enough that you want to do that. But I take this pill minder and I have Tylenol in one section, Advil in one section, Benadryl in one section, Advil PM in one section, aspirin in one section, and then Band-Aids and gloves in that pill minder. So that's an easy way to make sure that you've got the different medicines that someone might need. So just make sure you're thinking through these things, whether it's allergies or whether it's upset stomachs or headaches, whatever you run into on a regular basis. And then question number 8, what survival items do I need just in case? So I carry a lot of items with me that I use regularly. And if I'm out and about, like, for example, if I'm out and about and I have a panic attack, I use lavender essential oil. But there are survival items that I carry as well. So I carry a mirror. And even if you think about a compact, you can use a mirror for signaling. I also carry an arc lighter, and I don't know if you've heard of those before, but it's basically a rechargeable lighter. Not because I smoke, because I don't, but because I want to be able to start a fire if I had to. If you carry the old Bic lighters, you can actually wrap duct tape around those so that you have duct tape in your survival kit. A whistle is another very important thing to have in a survival kit as well. And then I also carry a bandana. So many uses for bandanas. It gives you a way to make a sling if you need to make a sling. If there's a dust storm, it allows you to cover your nose and your mouth, things like that. But what survival items do you need just in case? And one of the things that we have to fight against is what we call, the term is actually normalcy bias. We think everything is going to be normal. And you know what? That's because the vast majority of the time it is. But I will tell you, when I went into chess club that day and somebody was telling me they're going to kill me and my my 5 kids that were in the room, you don't expect that. There was another time when our house was hit by a tornado. And we were displaced from our house on 2 different occasions for about 5 weeks. And I had kids ranging from, goodness, my youngest at that time was like 6 months, all the way up to 10 years. And you don't expect those things. So, what things might you need? And then, especially if they're small, tuck a few in there, because you're going to have those emergency items if something happens. You don't want it to, you don't expect it to happen, but you need to be ready in case they do. So besides survival items, so I keep a whistle, waterproof matches, duct tape, a knife, multi-tool, mirror, bootlaces, headlamp, arc lighter, compass, space blanket, and a hand pull chainsaw. Now, most of those I purchased in this, it's literally probably like 3.5 inches by like 5.5 inches. It's just bigger than a 3x5 card, or maybe a 4x6 card. It's probably closer to a 4x6 card, but it's a survival kit that I have given each of my kids as they have gotten their own car. And that way they have all of these things in something that's so small. It's, like I say, about 4x6 by about 2 inches. And that might be a great way for you to carry your survival items with you. Okay, so that's question number 8. Question number 9 is, what item or items do I need to build in a redundancy for in my EDC? So with this, great example. On Wednesday nights, we used to go to a Bible study. And after that Bible study, the kids would go outside and they would play a game called Bear in the Night. Well, you needed a flashlight to play Bear in the Night. And so keeping a flashlight with me was a normal thing. I always had that flashlight, so my kids always asked for it. Well, unfortunately, it didn't always make it back into my purse or my backpack. So that was something that I learned I needed to build redundancies in for. So what kinds of things do you need to build redundancies in for? Do you have a kid that has a lot of allergies? Instead of having 1 Kleenex pack, maybe you need 2. Do you have someone, maybe you have a child who is, right now, they have a wound that you're supposed to keep covered. Instead of just having one of the large Band-Aids or something like that with you, you keep several because you're actually using it now. So what are those things for you? So these are my 9 questions that if you will sit down and you will answer each of these, you will be able to determine what you need for your everyday carry. So I know I only have about 20 minutes left, so I'm going to go right into the next section, and that is vehicle preparedness around town. So Mom on the Run goes into much more depth with everyday carry. I discuss using your phone, and I give you a whole bunch of suggestions of apps for your phone. And then I also talk about sanitation and hygiene and health and first aid and food and hydration, all of that, protection and family-specific items. So if you want to go more in depth, it is in the free book that I'm going to give you at the end of the class today. So that's finishing off EDC. Now, for vehicle preparedness, being prepared in your vehicle while you're away from home isn't just about EDC. It's also about having a prepared vehicle. Now, when we talk about prepared vehicles, for me, in simple terms, a prepared vehicle is an extension of my EDC. A prepared vehicle provides a more complete coverage for my daily needs than my basic EDC does in case of an interruption to my usual life and routine. So when I look at a situation that I'm prepared for, I like to think of everything systematically. It's easier to make sure that I cover all of my bases that way. So when I considered making sure that my vehicles were prepared for, I started by looking for what systems did I need to put into place. And we're going to talk about those systems. All right, so first system is food and drink. So a long time ago, we were living in Ferguson, Missouri, and we were looking to get out to the country. And while we were out looking at properties in the country, my mom was with me. My mom has diabetes, and I think I had 4 of my 5 kids with me. I don't think my youngest was born yet. So we're out. We are literally in the middle of nowhere. It is like 11:45. My mom starts getting lightheaded, and she needs to eat. My kids are hangry, which never makes it fun for mom. So we were at least 45 minutes from the nearest even McDonald's. I mean, we were that far out in the boonies. So that would have been a real big problem, except for the fact that I actually carry snacks in my vehicle. Now, I still carry them. They're different now than they were back then. But I could give my mom, whose blood sugar was getting low, and my kids snacks so that we didn't have to drive 45 minutes back into town to find a restaurant to come back and look at one or two more houses that we wanted to look at out in the country. So that's one of the reasons why I carry food and drink. So in this situation, having food and drink saved us time, it saved us money, it saved us stress, and perhaps a medical emergency. So there are plenty of shelf-stable snacks that you can keep in your car. And if your family doesn't have any food allergies or intolerances, then you can pick up items like peanut butter crackers, cheese crackers, fruit snacks, pretzel packs, cookie packs. For my husband and I, who prefer to eat low-carb snacks, we keep things like meat sticks. So like Slim Jims, but like we like to get them from Aldi. And so they have just these short meat sticks, and we keep those in the vehicle. They do really well, shelf stable. We also have done wisps, which are it's like baked cheese into crackers. Single servings of almonds, cashews, or peanuts. They have packets of like tuna fish and salmon. You just have to make sure you have a spoon with you, but literally you just tear it open and you can eat it. They also have the same with barbecue chicken, or you can do something like freeze-dried tomatoes or freeze-dried blueberries. Those would all work. But for those with intolerances, we pick up gluten-free cracker packs, or granola bars is a really good one. Fruit snacks are usually fine, fruit roll-ups, crunchy rice rollers, as long as they're not allergic to rice. And then one of our favorite allergen-free, allergen-friendly brands is called Enjoy Life. So if you have kids that have different allergies, you might want to look into some of their Enjoy Life bars. Okay. So drinks are a little bit harder. And I want to talk about this from a couple of different perspectives. You can keep water bottles in your car. Now, water bottles do leach BPA and antimony, which can cause cancer if used regularly. So if they're in a hot car and your car gets really hot a couple of times during the day, it's leaching those chemicals into the water. Now, this is my philosophy on this. Is that good? No. But you know what? I'm not going to use those water bottles, but maybe once or twice a year. I'm not using it regularly. So I sometimes like to keep like a 12 pack of water bottles in the car in case we need them. Because if something happens, I'd rather have water bottles in the car, which I don't want to drink regularly from, but it's okay to do every now and again. So that's the way I handle it. But there are other ways if you want to spend some more money. Another way that you can do this is there are stainless steel water bottles. And even if you live in the north, like I used to, if you fill those 3/4 of the way full with water, even in the wintertime, the water expands. It shouldn't break the water bottle because you haven't filled it all the way full. So it's going to taste hot if you've got it in the car, but it is liquid, and that shouldn't leach any harmful chemicals. So that's another way you can handle it. You can get, I think there's a 12 pack of those, and I'm trying to think of where I get them. I can't think of where I get them, but if I think of it later, I will definitely let you know. Something else that you could do would be drink boxes. Now, I have looked for evidence saying that it is bad to keep drink boxes in the car. I can't tell you it's not bad. I can tell you I've not found evidence that it is bad to keep drink boxes in the car. So that's another way that you could handle this, is to keep drink boxes in the car for your kids. That's a thought. So find a way that works for you and your family that you are comfortable with, but make sure that you have something to hydrate your bodies. There have been times that we've been on trips that we have been stuck in one place for 2 to 4 hours without being able to move. So having something in a car is a big deal when you get thirsty and you're stuck in traffic. So that's, thinking about food and drink. But I go a little bit further with this because, we would be out and we would decide to go ahead, even if we got some fast food, we would decide to go ahead and have a picnic. So we would keep things like We keep picnic table covers and the picnic table fasteners, those metal things that keep the cover on. So we would keep that. We would keep trash bags and zipper bags and wet wipes or baby wipes, napkins, and a roll of paper towels. And I even kept a quart-sized Ziploc baggie with spoons, plastic spoons, knives, and forks in it. That way, if we wanted to have an impromptu picnic, we were already out. We've got everything that we need except for maybe the food. So in that, we could run through the drive-through and get something, but it gives us something fun to do, and it means that we're ready when we decide to do these things. Or there'd be times when we would plan a picnic. There was a place we loved to go called Lincoln's New Salem. It was an old-time village from the time of Abraham Lincoln, and he actually lived in that village. And so we would go do that, and when we were done, we'd always picnic. So we'd always have our food with us anyway, because we'd bring it from home. But we didn't have to actually go and get all of our picnic stuff because that was with us. So that's the first system to put into place, is food and drink. Your second system to put into place is sanitation. So when we talk about sanitation systems in the house, we usually think of showers, toilets, sinks, and maybe trash. Well, when we're talking about sanitation systems in regards to our car, it's a different story. So eating that oh so bad for you, but oh so juicy burger, and you get that smear of ketchup across your face, well, taking care of that is sanitation. You hear, Mom, my stomach's upset. Yep, this statement is followed by a completely unpleasant sound. You need sanitation for your car. We need to make sure that we can take care of these things. So let's talk a little bit about sanitation. Upset stomachs. There are two parts to upset stomachs: prevention and handling them. Prevention, carry peppermints. My now 18-year-old son gets car sick. And even still, if he is sitting in back and he is on his phone doing things, he has to be very careful. And he'll tell me, Mom, if my stomach starts to get upset, I will just stop. I close my eyes, I rest my head, and then when I feel better, I open my eyes again. But it used to be he didn't know to do that, or even just sitting in the back seat, not doing anything on a device or anything, reading a book or anything like that. He could still get sick to his stomach. So we carried peppermints with us everywhere we went. Now, peppermints are good for more than just upset stomachs, but they are good for upset stomachs. So that was something. We kept these carnizers, your car organizers that would go on the back of your seats. And in one of the little pouches, we kept hard candies, making sure that we had plenty of peppermints. That was one of the things that we did. Hard candies also were great for my mom. If her blood sugar was going low, we could give her things like that as well. So, but upset stomachs, prevention, peppermints. Please believe me, it works so well. And even if you don't do peppermints, there's peppermint essential oil, and that works really, really well also. So on those rare occasions when the peppermints didn't help, we were ready for the other side, dealing with it by having zippered bags. We kept gallon-sized zippered bags in our vehicle at all times. That was another one of those pockets in that car back seat organizer. One of them had rolled up gallon-sized Ziploc bags, because we did have this happen enough and we wanted to make sure we were ready for it. And the gallon size is bigger, so they've got more space to, they've got more room to hit. Whereas the quart size, it would be a lot harder. But with gallon size, there's more room that they can hit. And then when they're done, you zip it up and you don't have to sit there and smell the stench for forever. So that's another big deal. Another part of this is making sure you have wet wipes or baby wipes, because maybe 95% of it got into that zippered bag, but a little bit didn't. Having that wet wipe or that baby wipe cleans the rest up, and then you can deal with it that way. And then you can actually open that zippered bag up and throw the baby wipe in, so you don't have to smell that either. So let's see here. All right. So we have dealing with sanitation. Our next system that we're going to talk about is first aid. All right. So let's say that you've got one child who's having a play date at a park, and a second child with you falls and hurts themselves. Are you prepared to take care of that scraped knee? Because you've now got child number one who's really frustrated about the fact that you might have to leave. And then you've got child number two who's crying and upset because they hurt themselves. you've got multiple levels of frustration here, from anger to hurt to then you're frustrated with everything that's going on around you. So do you have what you would need to take care of that? Do you have a way to disinfect the cut? Do you have something to like Neosporin to put on the cut? Do you have a way to bandage the cut? And especially, guys, on elbows and knees, that is so hard. I even carry those compression bandages that sticks to itself. And anytime my child falls and gets a scrape on his knee or his elbow, I would use the compression bandage around the Band-Aid or bandage of, if I had to use a gauze pad or something like that, I use that compression bandage around it, even if the Band-Aid had adhesive, because that way it would hold it on. So make sure that you've got what you need to take care of those scrapes, to take care of nosebleeds. One time we were at a local library and one of the kids, should not have been, not my kids actually, but one of the kids that was there was running and they fell and they got a rug burn. Their mom came to me and asked me if I could help. And I had peppermint essential oil, which is really good for burns. And so I had what I needed to take care of somebody else's child. When we were at the library. Another time, a group from our church was over cleaning a house for somebody who had just moved into the area. And the kids were out back playing. And one of the kids, he was running and he skidded and his foot went under a chain link fence. And when he pulled it back out, it cut open the top of his foot. But I had everything I needed so that we could clean it. We could put a bandage on it. We use the compression bandage around it. Everything was taken care of and they were back out playing again. So make sure that you have those first aid things with you in your car so that you can take care of the emergencies as they come. Another way to take care of first aid is to keep things from happening in the first place. So for example, like one time we went to a wedding and we were sitting outside, and I tell you what, it was like we sat down and all of a sudden we were getting eaten alive by mosquitoes. Now, I had a bug spray back in the van. I went back, I sprayed everybody down with the bug spray. We didn't get a single bite the rest of the time, but that was because we had something with us to prevent a problem. Another thing to have to prevent problems, different types of first aid problems, is to have sunblock. So that if you decide, you know what, we want to go ahead and go to the park for a while, and the sun's really bright that day, or you know what, we want to go take a walk along the beach, even if we're not going to go in and go swimming, you have that sunblock with you. Another thing that you can do is you can carry an umbrella and use it like a parasol to keep the sun's rays off of you. So think about first aid, not just in dealing with it, but like sanitation and like with upset stomachs. How do you prevent needing those first aid things in the first place? So, all right, we've talked about food and drink, we've talked about sanitation, we talked about first aid. Let's talk about car problems and vehicle maintenance. If it happens to everyone, or it happens to everyone at one point or another, we've had some crazy circumstances. One time we were driving home from a Wednesday night Bible study, and my husband had come right from work, so he had his car, I had my car, we had kids in both cars, and we weren't right behind each other coming home. He was about 5 minutes ahead of us. So I'm driving home, I go to merge onto the highway, and it was at twilight, it was just at that darkening hour, and I did not see, there was a tire rim in the road, and I went kerplunk, kerplunk over it, and then all of a sudden, I heard the thump, 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 thump. So I pulled over to the side of the road. I wasn't the only one who hit that. There were 3 other cars in front of us, and guess who one of them was? Yep, my husband. He had 2 flats. I had 1. And we had to figure out how to deal with that. So making sure that we can take care of these car problems is a big deal. Making sure that you have your spare. And you'd think that's a no-brainer. But I was stupid. I took my spare out to have more room for groceries earlier that day and didn't put the spare back in. So guess what? I didn't even have a spare. So making sure that you have the things that you need to take care of the emergencies that you have is really important. All right. So other than just that, make sure that you're keeping up with routine maintenance for your vehicle for safety purposes. There's less chance that something is going to go wrong if you're maintaining your vehicles. This includes making trips back through the place that you get your oil changed for top-offs on your fluids. But what should you keep with you? I suggest owner's manual to your car. then this is a big one. Go on Amazon and look up something called a halo bolt. It will charge your car's battery, and it's only about, I'd say, 8 inches by 4 inches. It will charge your car's battery for you. It will also, we've used it. Like one time a lady came over to me in the Aldi parking lot and said, could you help me? My battery's gone. It's not charging. So I got the Halo Bolt out. We jumped her from the Halo Bolt, and everything was great. So I highly suggest getting a Halo Bolt. There was one time about 6 months ago, we were parked at a place to go walking, and someone had parked right next to my husband, and the other side had a there was something to prevent people from parking there, and his battery died. So if we hadn't had a Halo Bolt, we would have had to sit there and wait for who knows how long until the person right next to him pulled out, because you couldn't get at him from the other side. It was like we were parked on the side of a hill. So that's a really big deal. Have a spare tire, a jack, and an iron. Carry basic tools. Also, windshield washer fluid, especially if it's in winter and you live up north. Make sure you have like a quart with you. Something like Fix-A-Flat is a really good idea. And again, if you live up north and it's cold, ice scraper. So that's car problems and vehicle maintenance. Let's talk about comfort, because I know my time's just about up. In your car, one of the things that we carry, it's called a frog tog, FROGGTOGG. And you can get them on Amazon. You can get them in different sizes. One is 3 inches long by about, I think, 24 inches. You get it wet, the temperature of that cloth goes down 30 degrees. So if you can get it wet and put it around your neck, if you're really hot, that will cool your body down. Also, things like misting fans and umbrellas to keep the sun off of you. Make sure that you have those. And also, let's talk about comfort from an emotional level. If you have little kids and they have a lovey, I'm going to tell you, go buy another. Every one of my child has lost their lovey at some point, and they were devastated. But I got smart enough by my 5th kid. I bought 2. And you know what? When he lost his lovey, we still had one, and life was saved. So make sure that you have things like that. Also, books, cards, audiobooks, travel games, those are all great. Let's go on to safety real quick. That's number 6. Safety system. Carry a hammer emergency escape tool. You never know when you're going to need to break out of your own car. It will cut your seatbelt. It will break your window so you can get out. There are fire extinguishers specifically designed for cars, work gloves, headlamp, glow stick, reflective hazard triangles. All of those are things that will keep you safe. Now, I don't have time to go over vehicle preparedness for the long haul. It is in the book that I am giving you, though. So let me go through those slides real quickly. All right, so I want to say thank you so much for joining me here tonight. I hope that you feel empowered, that this is actually something you can do, that you know that you can become better prepared just by making a few little changes. And I want to give you, as a thank you for coming, you can get a free book. Miranda is supposed to be dropping the link in the chat for you, so you don't have to copy down all of the letters and everything else like that. But if you go there, you sign up, you give me your email address, I will email you that free PDF, and you will have access to the entire book, Mom on the Run. So let me stop sharing. I am ready for any questions or comments or anything else.
Wonderful, Karen. Thank you so much. Such great information. And I'm going to be honest, as you were going through your questions, the 9 questions, my mind was already whirling. You know what I mean? Like, just having them up in front of you makes such a difference to be able to focus and think clearly on, like, what do I need? What do I use? So great, wonderful way to help take what we all want to do and put it in a format that we can hopefully help us follow through and get things done. So fantastic suggestion. And I wanted to say I loved all the examples that you gave, because no matter where you're at with your dietary situation or your personal preferences or any of that, the suggestions are such a great jumping off point. So thank you for giving us that groundwork. A great place to start. So we did have a couple of questions, but first I want to say ladies, that link is in the chat, so click on it so you can get your free copy. And Karen has been gracious enough to share her slides with us, so I will have that available as a PDF format in the VIP vault for that goes along with the replay. So you'll have access to both of those resources. So definitely click on the link that we've got in the chat, and make sure that you follow Karen on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, and her website. Karen, your website is?
RUAREYOU, preparedmama.com.
Perfect. All right. So we just had a couple of questions. So the one question that we had was, what do you use to carry your EDC items in?
So right now, I just have a really big purse that I absolutely love. And it's a big purse, not because I need to carry so much with me, but because when I carry my school stuff, so when I have books from school, it's actually called a school tote, but it's a purse. It's not a backpack. And I carry my lesson plan book. I carry my grade book. I carry books, things like that. They all fit in there, or even my laptop. So that's what I use. And this one has 3 pockets in front, and it has a zippered pocket in the back. And then inside, it's got another 4 pockets plus 2 like file where you can stick files and books and things like that. And so it's huge because I wanted to be able to carry stuff for school and not have to carry a backpack and a purse. So that's what I carry my stuff with me. If you want to, one of the things I used to do is have those makeup kits like I was talking about. You can go to the dollar store and you can get them there, or there's a great one that I've gotten a couple of times from Amazon where they come 8 of them. You get 8 of them sent to you. It's like $6. It's not expensive at all. And you can put a different category in each makeup bag. So you can have a makeup bag for first aid. You can have a makeup bag for food and drink. You can have a makeup bag for survival. You can have a makeup bag for personal hygiene. So anything like that, you have one makeup bag for each one. And these ones are all different colors. So that when you go, for me, red was my first aid because red blood. Okay, so that made sense. Red, first aid. And then my navy blue one, that was the personal care items, to make, because blue is very calming. So I think, okay, I've got my lip balm, I've got my hand lotion, I've got my comb, all those calming things, that's in that one. My survival items were in brown because I think of brown when I think of outside, so if I'm outside, I need survival things. So that's how I did that for a long time. And then I got to the point where I didn't want to carry all that stuff anymore. So I pared it down a whole lot. And that's one of the things I actually talk about in the book is how do you revamp your EDC and how do you know when it's time? So I just got to the point where I was going to carry certain things that I knew I needed, and I wasn't going to worry about all those other things because my kids weren't young anymore. They were, being older. I didn't need as much. So that's how I do it now, and that's how I've done it in the past.
Fantastic. That's a great suggestion too. And I love that that the whole point of is that this changes with you as your situation changes. So regardless of whether you have young children or a husband or, an older mother, that you're just yourself, revamping and reassessing is always a great idea. So that's fantastic. All right. The next question we had was, do you have any YouTube channels or websites that you would recommend for our ladies to check out?
Absolutely. The Provident Preppers, I highly recommend that one. 1 Acre Farm, I highly recommend that one. There's also one, you might have to do a search. It was called 10th Acre Farm, and she started on 1/10 of an acre. So that one, she has a book out on permaculture as well. I can't think of her name off the top of my head, but definitely check that one out too. Those are the ones that I would highly recommend.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. I'm going to give it one last call for questions. Ladies, I've got the chat open. So if you've got anything that you want to ask, here's your last chance. We did get a comment earlier that I thought was very clever and really easy to remember. A gal put in the comments when you were talking about, being prepared, 1 is none and 2 is 1. And that is such wise That's wisdom right there in a nutshell, tied up in a neat little bowl, in a neat little bow. None is one, and two is none. One is none, and two is one. Perfect. All right, I'm not going to try it again because I'll butcher it. But how brilliant! And I love that the ladies share their knowledge like that. Just trying to make sure that we can, all stay on that same page. We did just have a question come up. Oh, Daphne asked about the resources, and I just want to let you know, Daphne, I'm going to go back through and make sure that we get all of those suggestions that Karen had, and I'll post that in with our replay. So we'll have links so y'all can click on them. I know easy is always best, so we'll make sure that we've got the links for you all along with that PDF. And thank you so much again for your time and your generosity with the book. Ladies, do you guys want me to drop that link for the book again before we go? I'm going to do that real quick. Make sure that you take advantage of this opportunity. I myself, Karen, I'll share this with you. We did a book club in my local chapter here in Idaho on A Year Without the Grocery Store. And we met over the winter a couple of winters ago, one day a week for, through the winter months. And we worked through the book together. And I got to be honest, the book was fantastic. But what I loved about it is that we were going through it together. So that level of accountability went up a little bit, because I can sit down and read a book, but that doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to put it into play right away. But it was so nice to touch base and go into it with each other. So I just wanted to say I truly enjoyed your book, A Year Without the Grocery Store, and it was fantastic. So ladies, don't just stop with Mom on the Run. Make sure to check out all of Karen's other stuff, and be sure to visit her website. And again, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, ladies, we're going to go ahead and wrap up. Don't forget to check back in to watch the replay. In a couple of weeks, we'll have the replay available for everyone on our YouTube channel. Make sure that you're following Karen and check out her website. And don't forget to get that free copy of the book. So, all right, ladies, we will see you guys all here next month. Same time, same place. And take care and have a great rest of your month, ladies.